Two men conceal an Alton child in a hotel in the U.S. state of Texas. Roy and Lucas are their names. Then, we find out that Lucas assisted his friend Roy in kidnapping the child and works as a police officer. They all get ready to leave the hotel because they have seen their photos in the press and know that the police will be notified if they are seen. They are no longer able to stay at the hotel, so they depart from it as well as the surrounding area. The receptionist notices them while they are driving, but she is also consuming news. She then dials the police and provides them with their vehicle's number. Sorry for the small pause. It took a lot of hard work to find the movies, make the script, and edit them. Little request, please show your support. Roy and Lucas hear the number of their car on the radio as they are traveling. Fearing for their lives, Lucas decides to take a different route, which allows them to escape. We observe Calvin, a man in his office at the same time. He runs Ranch, a religious organization, and a charitable organization. Alton's adoptive father, Calvin, reported the kidnapping to the police. Calvin is very concerned about Alton after seeing the news, but he also wants to get to Alton before the police do. Calvin thus gives Doak, one of his workers, instructions to locate Alton in the next 4 days. Then, as usual, Calvin walks into the packed meeting room where the members are seated to listen to his religious lecture. Federal agents show up out of the blue and storm into the meeting room. Calvin, his employees, and every ranch member are taken into custody. Due to the large number of people, they transport them by bus to a schoolyard. A car in the middle of the road surprises Roy and Lucas as they continue on their journey. Lucas, though, is able to dodge it. The car in the middle of the road is then struck by another vehicle approaching from the other direction. Quickly exiting his vehicle to check on the other vehicles, Lucas discovers an injured woman. By coincidence, a police car pulls up at this point, and the officer gets out. Luke instructs the officer to dial an ambulance. The policeman discovers that Lucas is one of the kidnappers before he can call for help. Lucas pulls out his gun and fires at the policeman. Lucas strikes him in the chest because he is aware that the policeman is protected by a shield and will only be hurt, not killed. Lucas reports to the police station the location of the accident and the fact that a woman and a police officer are hurt on the road. After that, he heads back to his car, and they carry on. Federal agents, in the meantime, ask the people they arrested from the ranch to fill out forms. The majority of the questions pertain to Alton. Agent Miller questions Calvin about the organization's operations in a room at the school while conducting an investigation. Calvin informs him that they are not in the business of selling, but rather raising livestock and operating dairy farms for their own use. Then Paul, an agent with the National Security Agency, gets involved in the probe. Paul questions Calvin regarding certain figures and odd symbols he used to use in his sermons. Calvin, however, informs Paul that these are actually passages from one of his sermons and that they are biblical religious symbols. Subsequently, Paul approaches him and informs him that these digits and symbols represent hazardous military secrets of the United States, and the American administration views them as treasonous accusations. Then he accuses Calvin of sending codes to other nations that contain military secrets. Calvin admits to him that Alton is accustomed to uttering these codes during panic episodes when he believes the situation to be dangerous. He informs him that Alton speaks numerous languages, including ones he doesn't know. The institution's members all adhered to Alton's symbols because they saw him as the religious messiah. Paul, however, believes that to be completely illogical at the moment and continues to have doubts about Calvin's ability to transmit military secrets through the codes he used to say in his sermons. Then, Calvin admits to them that Roy is Alton's biological father and that Roy is currently abducting Alton. He also tells them that Alton is his adopted son. Calvin, however, makes fun of him and claims that he doesn't really know Alton. He asserts that they are unable to forcibly arrest Alton because he is a truly unique young man. In the meantime, Roy and Lucas show up at Eldon's home. Eldon, who worked at Ranch, is acquainted with Alton and his superpower. Because he wants to be of assistance to them, he welcomes them into his home and uses paper to cover all of the windows because the sun's rays exhaust Alton. After that, Alton goes to sleep, and Eldon and Roy sit down to go over a map of a particular area. Alton is drawn to this location because of an upcoming major event. By the way, Alton is trusted by Roy and Eldon, who see him as Calvin and the ranch crew. When they watch the news the following day, they discover that their pictures are representative of all states, not just Texas. Roy and Lucas sense an earthquake in the house all of a sudden. As they ascend the stairs, they are taken aback to see Eldon seated in front of Alton, absorbing the light emanating from his eyes. But Eldon passes out after Roy hits him. Then, because of the rays coming from his eyes, he gives Alton a hug. In addition, the tremor caused the papers on the windows to fall, and the sunlight entered and exhausted him as well. In the meantime, Paul begins questioning the ranch staff about Alton and conducting his own investigation. Paul is informed by one of them that Alton possesses superhuman abilities and can smash doors and windows without coming into contact with them. In addition, his superpower will grow stronger as he ages and can disable an unlimited number of cars. One of the many kids in the ranch corporation's care is Alton, who is allowed to sleep all day and wake up all night because he is sunburned. Paul is informed by another staff member that Alton is experiencing visual hallucinations and experiencing a lot of unusual visions. Paul and the federal agents now have complete knowledge of Alton. Roy uses Eldon's car to continue on their journey, and they conceal Lucas's car at Eldon's house to evade discovery by the authorities. While traveling, Lucas is taken aback to discover that Alton is aware of everything that radio stations are airing in all languages and that he is even ahead of him with the news. After that, they stop at a gas station where Lucas goes to the grocery store to get some food and drink for the trip. Roy now requests that Alton stay in the car. After that, he calls his wife Sarah to let her know they are en route. However, Roy witnesses Alton exiting the vehicle. Alton shields his eyes from light by donning dark sunglasses. When a woman sees him, she believes he is gone. Roy, however, informs her that he is his father. The woman leaves, and Alton apologizes to Roy. Large chunks of a satellite suddenly burst apart in space as Lucas accelerates the vehicle. After that, they are able to flee the gas station. Following that, they visit Sarah, who is overjoyed to see her son Alton after a protracted absence. Sarah then observes that Alton is gushing blood from his nose, and Lucas recommends that Alton be taken to the hospital. Roy worries that if he takes Alton to the hospital, the police will know where they are, so he orders them to take him to the precise location that Eldon told them about. Simultaneously, Calvin's aides arm themselves with firearms in anticipation of visiting Sarah's mother. They inquire about the address of her home from Sarah, assuming Roy will be accompanying Alton. Miller and Paul, meanwhile, are at the gas station to witness the satellite accident. They also believe Alton was the one responsible for the satellite's downfall. They doubt Alton is aiding another nation in occupying America because the satellite is functioning to stop nuclear activities. In order to apprehend Alton, they choose to track his rays using a drone equipped with this capability. The child now presents a serious risk to their country's security. Following that, Roy and Sarah learn of the satellite falling on the gas station, which causes them great concern. Because the police will undoubtedly be aware of their whereabouts, they choose to leave a car in front of Sarah's house, steal her car, and make a quick getaway. While traveling, Alton informs them that the police will not give up on him, and that they must arrive at the location by the designated time. Doak and Levi visit Sarah's house in the interim, but they are unable to locate her. Lucas wants them to take Alton to the hospital because he is having a respiratory crisis right now. Roy, though, declines, and they start fighting. After recovering from his breathing crisis, Alton orders them to leave right away because he can see into the sky and knows that the police and the feds will eventually find them. Alton then requests that Lucas drive Sarah to the hotel so she can check in. Following that, he and Roy finish walking the path and cut it shorter, starting in the middle of the forest. They continue to walk through the woods until they come across a hiding place where they spend the next day. Then Alton informs Roy that he wants to stand tomorrow when the sun is shining. Alton tells Roy that he wants to do that, despite Roy's warnings that it could be dangerous for him. Roy then concurs with him since he has a great deal of faith in him. Paul, in the meantime, ensures that the numbers display no codes pertaining to military secrets. Eventually on, though, he learns that the numbers correspond to Alton's walking routes. Paul then knows Alton's current location. Alton watches the sunrise for the first time in his life the following day, when he and Roy remain inside the cave until sunrise. Even though the earth is trembling and he is a little bit tired, he can open his eyes without his sunglasses. Roy and Alton then head back to the hotel where Sarah and Lucas are staying. When Lucas witnesses Alton strolling in the daylight without sunglasses, he is taken aback. Thus, Alton engages in conversation with them, explaining that he is a member of a different world that exists beneath theirs. Then he declares that since they are like him and possess similar abilities, he must go back to the people in the other world. Roy and Lucas are fired at by Doak and Levi as they approach the room's door. Roy and Lucas are hit, their hands are tied, and Alton is taken. Following that, Sarah assists Roy and Lucas, and they get into the car. Then they follow Doak while noticing how congested the road is. In the middle of the road, they also discover police and army personnel. Roy attempts to follow Doak and Levi's car down a short road, but the army forces make him return to the road. Upon observing that Doak and Levi's car was empty, they concluded that Alton had been captured by the army. Roy believes that he won't see Alton again at this point. Along with Paul, Alton is in a sizable investigation room with federal agents and army officers. Alton is a dangerous weapon to them all, so they all want to look into him. However, Alton asks everyone to leave so Paul can speak with him alone. This order surprises Paul, and all the officers leave. He observes Alton become enlightened as they sit together. Then, Alton tells him that he is a citizen of a different world, and that he has to leave this one on March 6th in order to travel there. Paul chooses to assist Alton after agreeing with him. Alton, meanwhile, has abilities that allow him to know everything, so he is aware that Roy and Sarah are out and about, and that a public phone is located close by. A short while later, Paul uses this public phone to call Roy, telling him to meet him somewhere so they can take Alton once more. They leave at the precise moment and location to take Alton, and they get back together. They are very happy. To prove that Roy struck him and took Alton, Paul, however, feels the need to strike himself in the face. After that, the group encounters an army ambush, but they are able to flee and arrive at the location Alton had informed them of. On March 6th, Alton exits the vehicle and travels to the designated location. Abruptly, the earth beneath them begins to tremble, and odd structures emerge from beneath the surface. Everyone is shocked to see them. Alton is taken with transparent people as they descend from these buildings. Alton thus goes back to his actual world. Roy is then taken into custody by the army, but he is relieved that his son is now where he belongs. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next video.